Hello and welcome to Classic Vinyl Podcast. This is the podcast where we listen to and review mostly songs, but sometimes albums. And most of the time, we try and make sure Tyler hasn't heard them before or has very little history with it. But I'm one of your hosts, Justin. And of course, here's Tyler.
Yes, I am. And tonight is a song that I am all too familiar with.
So today we're going to do the Grassroots and their hit song, Let's Live for Today. I would say this is by far their most popular song.
This is the song that goes sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la in the middle a lot.
Yeah, and I really enjoy the Grassroots. This isn't my favorite song of theirs, but I really enjoy them. What is your history with the Grassroots? Do you know much further than this song, or?
What are some other Grassroots songs?
There's a ton of them, like Temptation Eyes, Midnight Confessions. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard them in my office before, but your familiarity with them is probably
pop culture. Say commercials, movies, especially this song. This song's everywhere. It's all over the radio. It's all over TV.
This is by far their most popular song. And I would probably guess that most people that know this song don't even know who the Grassroots are because as big as a band they were in the late 60s, which they were pretty popular, I don't think they're one that survived the test of time as far as being well known.
True. I don't know the flip side of this single, Depressed Feeling. I don't know that one.
It's not a bad song.
But Temptation Eyes, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know that one.
Yeah, it's not a bad song, but we're not going to get to that today. So let me give you a little history on the Grassroots, the band. Now, this is a band that has a very strange history. They were formed actually as a studio act by producer Lou Adler and songwriter-producers Steve Barry and P.F. Sloan. They were an American band. They were mostly active from 65 to 75. That's when all their hits. So they've been described as soft rock, classic rock, a little bit of country in some of those things, but just good rock for the time being, I think. It's good music. They basically were turned into a real band after the song Where Were You When I Needed You got some attention after being recorded by P.F. Sloan and some other studio musicians. That's when they decided, maybe we ought to form a real group and release some songs. And they actually recruited a San Francisco band that was called the Bedouins to become the Grassroots. The band was together for the first album that they did until the producers pulled in a Los Angeles-based group called the 13th Floor, and they became the new Grassroots, or the Grassroots, pretty much as we would know them from all their famous songs in the late 60s. Now, the new incarnation of this band recorded Let's Live for Today album, that this song is obviously off of, where they also recorded a new version of that song that kind of got them rolling, Where Were You When I Needed You? And that's one thing that's really interesting about this band is even if you go on Spotify or some of these things, you're going to hear a lot of different versions of the songs. And unless you really know the originals, sometimes it's kind of hard to pick out because there's a lot of re-recordings of these songs. There's a lot of different versions and things. But as we know, most of the Grassroots hits, Rob Grill was lead vocals and bass. Creed Bratton was guitar. Rick Koontz on drums and Warren Entner on guitar and keyboards. Something kind of interesting about Creed Bratton from the band, he actually played on a pretty popular show, The Office. He played a fictionalized version of himself on that sitcom, and he's been in a ton of other TV shows.
That was movies. Him?
Creed, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's excellent in The Office. He's a lot of people's favorite character.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of shows, so... So this is the most popular version of the band as you listen to this song, if you catch the right version of it, obviously. And they had several more hits over the next few years. But over the years, they had a ton of different lineups, mostly with Rob Grill as the lead singer, most of the time up until his death in 2011. Later on, he was in and out of the band here and there. But now get this band has had almost 60 total members in the band's history.
Wow.
And they're still touring to this day, albeit with no original members. So all in all, they've released 16 albums, 35 singles, and multiple compilations over the years. They've had 16 singles in the top 50 in the U.S., 3 in the top 10, which were Midnight Confessions being their top, which hit number 5. And that's kind of surprising to me because I would have thought this song would have been higher, but it wasn't. They had just 2 albums in the top 50 in the U.S., with their 4th album being their highest charting at number 25 in the charts. Overall, they had 2 gold albums, 2 gold singles, and charted a total of 21 times on the Billboard charts. They've sold over 25 million albums worldwide, which isn't too bad at all.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. I'm surprised that they didn't chart higher. They've got some pretty well-known songs.
They do, but I don't think most people could say, if you asked them name some Grassroots songs, I think it would be hard for most people.
I hadn't. I mean, until we started listening, I'm like, oh, that's what this song is, yeah.
But you didn't know the band name.
Didn't, yeah, I still wouldn't know the band name if you told me.
So do you want to get to the song review?
Yeah.
And now it's time for the song review.
Okay, and today we're doing the Grassroots and Let's Live for Today. This single was released on May 13th of 1967. The B-side is a song called Depressed Feeling. This was off their second studio album with the popular lineup of the band, and it was obviously titled Let's Live for the Day. This was written by Michael Julian, Mogul, and David Shapiro. It was recorded in Los Angeles and produced by P.F. Sloan and Steve Barry. Now, once again, you've got Rob Grill on lead vocals, and he's normally the bassist, but he was on lead vocals, Warren Entner on guitar and backing vocals, Creed Bratton on guitar and backing vocals, and Rick Kuntz on percussion. You've actually got that famous count in, the 1, 2, 3, 4 that comes right after the first verse. That's actually sang by or spoken by Warren Entner. Also featured P.F. Sloan on lead guitar, who helped put this band together, Bobby Ray on bass guitar, and Hal Blaine on drums. This song was actually first recorded in 1966 with Italian lyrics by a little-known band out of England called the Rokes, but they had some popularity in Italy, and so that's why they recorded this song in Italian. The Italian version is about a girl going through a rough time with the singer offering her comfort. The song, is pretty universal in its lyrics, really.
Yeah.
So the Grassroots version, though, it really struck a chord, especially to men serving in the Vietnam War at the time. This definitely is one of the soundtrack songs to the 60s. I mean, this is a well-known song. Even if people don't know it's the Grassroots, it's still played heavily on rock, or at least classic rock radio to these days, and I think most people have heard it one way or the other. The song was certainly popularized by the Grassroots. There's no doubt about that. It actually reached number 8 in the U.S., number 3 in Canada, so the Canadians liked it better than us here in the States, and number 1 in the big old country of South Africa.
All right. I'll bet you Elon Musk was conceived to this song.
He may have been. You never know. So like you stated earlier, this has been featured in a ton of commercials, TVs, movies, things like that. So people have heard it, but I don't think it's popular because of the band. It's just a good song, a good soundtrack for the 60s. So after listening to the Grassroots, Let's Live for Today, Tyler, I know you have a little experience with this one. What are your thoughts on this song?
I've enjoyed this song long before reviewing it. The more I learned about this song and listening to it to critique it, I'm just like, wow, this song is a really emblematic song of that iconic era of the Vietnam War. It really captures the whole hippie movement, that whole era where we're like, hey, we're not guaranteed that we're even going to see tomorrow. We better just live it up and love it up as much as we can for today.
And I think that's why I say it has universal lyrics, because you can put your meaning, you can put your own meaning into it, or what you think it means. Is it a love song? Is it just a, hey, let's live to make yourself happy? Because like you said, it might be gone tomorrow. I mean, that's what's beautiful about really any lyrics is that you can put your meaning into them. I think it's more important what you think they mean to you than what the writer that wrote them meant.
Yeah, it sounded really odd on the third verse, but if you're putting it like from the perspective of a young girl, and that doesn't even make sense. Because it's not from the perspective of the young girl. It's just about a young girl having a hard time. But he's all, hey, touch me deep inside. I'm like,
I think he means emotionally, Tyler.
Okay. I'm way too literal in this.
Yes. Well, as we've well explained, you are the lyric guy, but sometimes I think that's at a detriment because you look so deep into the lyrics of meaning something. But I really stand by and double down on the fact that lyrics mean what you want them to, not what the person that wrote them meant them to.
I think you're absolutely right, because the lyrics are just poetry. And I'm looking to critique this poetry, whereas you're looking at this from a musical perspective of how the whole thing encapsulates and how well the instruments fold in on each other with this as a work of art. I mean, you're looking at this as a piece of pottery or something, right? That's three-dimensional, and I'm looking at this as a piece of paper.
Okay.
So I do love this message, though. He says it's very straightforward in what he's saying, that people get so wrapped up worrying about chasing money, chasing insignificant things, stuff that's superficial and doesn't matter. It's just people, waste their whole lives trying to achieve the impossible dream instead of just enjoying the here and now and, valuing what's right in front of us. And I love that message. I fully embrace this song. I fully embrace the music behind it. I love the poetry and the message of it. And I just think that this is an excellent song about an era that, this song might not have spurred that era on, but it certainly captures that snapshot of what was going on in the late 60s. I love that about this song. And so I'm going to rate this one pretty high when we do get to ratings. And I'm a little surprised at how high I did. But what are your thoughts on this one, Justin?
You know, like I stated earlier, I've always liked the Grassroots. I remember my dad kind of got me into them, and I had an old tape of their greatest hits or something. And I remember my dad, after hearing that tape that I was listening to, he said, "That's not the Grassroots." And I guess it was a second version of them or some re-recorded versions of them or something. And I ended up finding a CD that was the originals, and I really kind of hooked onto them. I mean, I'm not really deep into all their albums, which I've kind of meant to be, but there's a good 15, 20 songs that make their way onto all their compilations that I really enjoy. And they are a little bit different style of band, but I've always enjoyed them. On this song in particular, I like the guitar intro on it. I think it's kind of unique how you have that count in after the first verse. I really like the vocals by Rob Grill. I think any of those other versions you've heard that you have different people singing, or even the re-recorded versions by Rob Grill, I just don't enjoy them. But his originals, I really enjoy his vocal. I think he does a good job. It's got a nice acoustic guitar going in the background. The bass is amazingly strong on it and sounds good. The drums are a tad bit tinny, but, you know, not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Generally, you don't hear too tinny of drums when it gets to 67, 68. You know, I get what they were going for. And obviously the signature of the song, the sha-la-la-las, you know, that is definitely the signature of the song without a doubt. And I think most people have heard that. They've got kind of an interesting version they released in 2022 with the fuzz tones where they re-recorded it. And I'd suggest you go listen to that. It's kind of interesting. The song Fades Out, which I don't generally like fade outs, but it's okay on this one. It's definitely not my favorite Grassroots song, but it's a really strong song and would probably be the song that most people know, and it's probably the song that got me into them originally, without a doubt. But yeah, really good song.
I think this is probably their best known song.
Yeah, without a doubt. Do you want to get to the song rating?
Let's rate it.
Song rating.
Okay, if this is your first time listening, our rating system's pretty simple. It's a 0 to 10 scale, 5 being smack dab in the middle, and 10 being the best. So that being said, like I said, I'm going to rate this one rather high. I'm surprised that I'm putting it up this high. I'm giving it a 9. 9 is really high, considering that this is not necessarily a song that I'm in love with. I think it's done perfectly well, very competently. The more I learn about this song, the more I love about this song, and it really captures that era. It's, like I said, this is an emblematic song of an iconic era that captures that so well. Perfect snapshot of what was going down in the late 60s and the Vietnam War. And the Summer of Free Love, right? This was a perfect precursor. It had to come out sometime to give people something to look forward to, right? So where do you put this one, Justin?
I'm not quite as high on this one as you are, and possibly that's because of a little overplay on this for me. I enjoy their songs. I don't hear quite as often on the radio, obviously, but I really enjoy this song. I rate this song an 8. I think it's a really good song. I think a lot of people ought to very least go out on Spotify or Apple Music or something and check out the Grassroots and their hit. Hopefully you're getting the right version, because there's so many damn versions of their songs that it's kind of crazy. But yeah, this is a very good song, a very well-known song, but they have some other ones to give too, and so I suggest you go check them out. But that's the Grassroots. Let's live for today. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, or have any songs you'd like us to rate, please send us an email at classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. And like I always say, we really appreciate you listening to us, because if you spend your time to listen to us a couple guys that really don't know what we're doing, we just want to have a good time and listen to music, we really appreciate it. So till next time, we'll see you later.
See ya. Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.